One word on this piece of paper has created headlines around the world and sparked protests and celebrations in a bunch of different countries. That word is genocide, and it appears in this statement by US President Joe Biden about an event known to some as the Armenian Genocide. To understand why this one word on this piece of paper is causing so much controversy, you need to know a bit about what happened in World War I and what the word genocide actually means. Let's start with a bit of quick background on Armenia. It's a country of about 3 million people in the mountainous Caucasus regions between Asia and Europe. It's also one of the earliest Christian civilisations, and over the years it's found itself under the control of different empires and rulers. During World War I, Armenia was on the border of the Ottoman Empire and the Russian Empire, who were on opposite sides of the war. As the war went on, the Muslim-majority Ottoman Empire were worried that the Christian-majority Armenians living in their empire were secretly working for the also Christian-majority Russian Empire. While there were some cases of Armenians rebelling against the Ottomans,
the historical evidence overwhelmingly points to this resistance being very limited and not widely organized, and certainly not directed by Moscow.
But in 1915, the military decided to act.
The Ottoman military undertook a campaign to wipe out the Armenian population, and especially the male Armenian population, to the extent possible in order to prevent any possible military resistance.
Just a few years later, the Ottoman Empire fell, and what we now know as Turkey was created. Fast forward to today, and most countries, including Turkey, agree that hundreds of thousands of Armenians were killed in that time period after 1915. But the question of whether it was genocide is at the centre of the controversy today. Genocide's actually a pretty new word. It was coined in the 1940s by this guy to describe the Holocaust in World War II. Eventually, the UN introduced the Genocide Convention in the 50s, which defined the act as the intent to destroy, in whole or part, a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. So, basically the difference between killing a lot of people and genocide is that there needs to be a plan or intention to target and wipe out a certain group of people. Armenians say in the few years after 1915, they were purposely targeted for extermination through things like starvation, concentration camps, and being forced out of the area, and that all up, about 1.5 million people died. Turkey, on the other hand, says there wasn't a deliberate plan to wipe out Armenians during World War I, and that most of the deaths were caused by the war itself, or by Russian forces, and that the overall death count is closer to 300,000.
Our president has said back in 2005 that we have opened our archives, and he called for a joint committee of historians. That call is still standing there. It's a call to which the Armenian side has never responded because they know that historical facts will not support their claims.
Turkish officials are confident that the facts will back up their side of the story, but historians and experts on genocide aren't as convinced.
The genocide studies community as a whole, there are exceptions, but as a whole clearly sees this event or these series of events from 1915 as categorized as a genocide.
Hypothetically speaking, what would actually happen if everyone in the world just suddenly decided that what happened was a genocide? Well, that's the thing, it's not really clear. Everybody that was in charge back then is obviously long dead by now, so you can't exactly punish them. What Turkey is actually worried about today is what people may start demanding.
Türkiye karşıtı bazı çevreler bu açıklamadan cesaret alarak yeni kampanyalar yürütebilirler, yeni davalar açabilirler.
Many Armenians aren't just looking for recognition, they're also calling for justice and even reparations.
Now there are avenues that we as Armenians can take to make sure that there be retribution and compensation.
So, hypotheticals aside, what does the rest of the world actually think right now? At the moment, more than 30 countries have officially stated that what they think happened was a genocide. Most others have been careful not to take a side. As you can imagine, when it comes to international politics, saying the wrong thing can have a massive impact on everything from trade to national security. Take Australia, for example. This is what Scott Morrison said back in 2011.
It is important we recognise the Armenian Genocide for what it was. This is one act we should never forget, dare we allow it to ever be repeated.
But since he's become the Prime Minister, he uses words like enormous loss instead of genocide.
Australia's stance is being very careful with their wording, not engaging in genocide denial, but also not causing a diplomatic incident.
All you need to do is look at Turkey's reaction to President Biden's statement to understand why most countries are very cautious about the kinds of words that they use. Turkey's President Erdogan has urged Biden to reverse his statement and says that Biden is risking damaging their important relationship as allies and members of NATO. There's no doubt that the US siding with Armenia is a massive deal. They're the biggest nation so far to use the term genocide, and that may be enough to encourage other countries to speak up that may have been worried about Turkey's reaction. For now, we'll just have to wait and see what kind of an impact this little piece of paper will have on the future of Turkey and Armenia. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and also check out the In-Depth Explainers playlist and the International Politics playlists on our homepage. We've got plenty of other explainers just like this one on everything from the Myanmar coup to the future of North Korea.